All right, that is our first sale. All right, I finally decided I'm gonna make everything public. You see, I have been working on my third app for the past month. I used Weweb and Xano to build this app called Instagram.ai. This app lets you upload few selfies and the AI model will generate beautiful portraits of you. And as you can see on the screen, I'm using Elon as a test here. The app was launched using Facebook ads and I even got my first customer. While I built the app, I also did something. I screen recorded the entire process from scratch using Weweb and Xano. I showed how to build everything I have built inside the app, the authentication, the integrations, the AI models, everything. And not just that. I remember my first two apps, I had partners because I didn't know how to take care of marketing. I didn't know how to take care of the distribution. So what I did was I run my own Facebook ads for the third app, and I also got my first customer using Facebook ads. So I'm also including that in this free YouTube series. If you're watching this video, that means you are probably watching one of the videos from the set series. So if you want to watch the full series, I will have a playlist of that in my YouTube channel. And if you want to work with me or my team, you can also look at the links in the description and get in touch with me as well. By the way, before you jump into the video, a word of caution. These videos are filmed raw. That means there is very minimal editing, almost no editing. So there will be a lot of head scratches. There will be moments where I don't know what the heck to do. So I'll be thinking and, doing stupid things, but eventually we figure it out, right? If you're watching the series, that means the app was launched and we made our first sale and the user is happy with that. All right. So with that said, let's jump into the series. Thank you. Hi there, fellow citizens of No Code Republic. So today in this video, we will learn how to set up a basic project in Weweb and Xano. So as part of my initial setup, what I normally do is I would create a Weweb project, then I would connect it to Xano, and I will create the login page. The reason why I consider that to be the first step is most of the backend endpoints we are creating for our dashboards or whatever our app is going to do, I like to keep it accessible only to authenticated users. That means the APIs will only allow people who are logged into our app to access certain features. That's a good security feature to have. If you don't have it, then anybody who is smart enough to inspect your app can get access to your backend APIs and just access everything you have in your backend, which you don't want. So it is always a good idea to build APIs that only allow authenticated users. Now, when we build the app, if we have built the login page already, that means when we test, we can test as an authenticated user. And that will make our testing process and everything very easy because our backend expects us to be an authenticated user. That's it, right? If this is confusing to you, do not worry, still stick to this video. It will all make sense when we start building the project's backend with multiple features. All right. So for now, just blindly trust me. That's what I ask you. So blindly trust me, and this is how you can start on a Weweb project. All right. So I'm gonna move myself out of the way. So you will log into your Weweb and just create a project. So once you have done that, you can open the editor. And since I imported that startup kit, right, I had a lot of elements in here. I deleted most of them because I didn't want it. You can also start from a blank page, and in fact that is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to just skip the home page and I'm going to create a new page because we need to create a login page. So I'm going to click on this add page. I'm going to go for login and copy paste from, I'll just copy paste from home. I'll let you know why. I just need that color, and now I'm going to delete everything. Right, I don't need this. Actually I needed that. I don't need the sidebar. And here you can see if I hover over the sidebar, there's this blue thing that shows up, right? That means it's a margin. All right, it's a margin. We don't need that margin, so we are going to get rid of that. So click on the container, or actually this is a, what is this? This is a section. I don't know why he named it container. Anyway, maybe I named it. Okay, so I select that and I'm going to remove the margin, unbind, and now if I switch to mobile, that margin still exists, right? So in Weweb, there's desktop view, tablet view, and mobile view. When you design elements, you should design it for all these. It's not that hard. It's just you design it for desktop first, then you can adjust the elements, position the elements for mobile for better viewability or usability. Margin for mobile is set as a different dimension. That's why you see this green dot here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reset and I'm going to remove the mobile version. So in mobile, the direction is also set. I'm going to remove mobile. Justify remove mobile. I'm just going to remove everything that is set specifically for mobile. Okay, I think I've done that. So this is the section, and inside section there is a container, and this container, this is the container. Okay, this is what a container looks like. I think I'm just gonna get rid of that. So I just have a blank section now. This is how I start my project. Blank section. I just have this background. That's all. Okay, now let's go ahead and create a Xano workspace and connect to this Weweb app. So let's log into our Xano here. I'm gonna log in. Login, and we will create a new workspace specifically for this app. Okay, so I'm gonna create workspace. I am moving the browser out of the way whenever there is some sort of sensitive information about my other apps, because Xano is my main backend. That means all my apps, even if it's not Weweb, it's all going into Xano. So I don't want to expose all of that. Okay, so workspace name, I'm going to call it my app name. What do you plan to connect to Xano? Front end, and it would be Weweb. You don't really have to set these things up. These are, I think these are just marketing surveys. Anyway, this is very important. Set up user authentication for me. If you check that, Xano will basically take care of setting up the login endpoints for you so that you don't have to build these API endpoints yourself. That is very important. I would highly suggest you check this. If you check this, then that endpoints will be already built. So click on continue. The workspace has been created. Now if I go to API, there's this authentication group, right? And if I open that authentication group, I can see 1, 2, 3 authentications. So first one is login, second one is auth/me. This is to get information about the user, and auth/sign up. I don't plan to use auth/sign up because in my app I don't want to create accounts like this. But we will talk about this later, all right? Because that is specific for my app. For now, since you are looking at this tutorial for setting up your Xano Weweb project, this is what you do at the very first time you create your workspace. You go to your authentication, make sure you have these 3 endpoints, and then go to database and add yourself as a user. So I'm going to add myself Abby Republic of No Code. Actually, I don't need my name. Republic of No Code. That's the name. And Abby and of nocode.com. And my password. Use a secure password. I'm going to use the most secure password now. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. That's the password. I just set up a user because we will test logging into our app using this user. So we set up our Xano workspace. Now it's time to connect this workspace with Weweb. So there are two types of connections you have to do. First is connect Xano as a data source. Second, connect Xano as an authentication server. So you need to do that by going to plugins, data sources. And by the way, I have a very detailed video showing you how to do all of this, how to connect Xano to Weweb, right? So I'm gonna skip ahead and move a bit faster than normal. So select Xano, add plugin, metadata API key. You can find it by going to your workspace. I actually forgot. Okay, so you can go to your instance and click on the gear icon and then metadata API, and then you can click on access tokens and you will create a new access token. So this is how it's going to look like. And then I'm going to create one for Instagram. Expires after, never. I don't want this to expire. And you will create one. I am skipping these. I'm going through these fast because I have a tutorial showing you all of this in detail. You can check my channel and you can find it there. And you will just paste that metadata API key. The instance will be, I just have one instance in Xano, and workspace will be Instagram. That's what we're gonna work with, right? I don't plan to use real time right now, so I'm gonna leave that blank. If I change my mind, I can always come back and add real time hash anytime I want, right? I'm gonna click on continue. Data source, live staging, live. We are not using any of that. We are not using branching, so we're gonna go ahead and skip to our last step. Okay, so we just connected our Xano. Next, we are going to connect Xano as an authentication plugin. So click on plugins, authentication, Xano auth. So metadata API key, we already have copied it. Instance, we have done that. And workspace, Instagram. Get me endpoint. Remember the endpoints that Xano automatically creates when you create that workspace. You need to set it that. So get me would be auth/me. Login would be auth/login. And sign up would be auth/sign up. I personally don't plan to use the sign up endpoint, but still we'll just connect it because it's a requirement. I don't know why Weweb would make that a requirement. Anyway, we will click on continue on this. We are not doing any branching. Global headers, we are not doing any. And manage roles, we will come and look at it later because right now we just have one role, that is a user role, a paying user role. But in future you might have multiple roles. You might have a team admin role. You might have a database admin role. You might have multiple roles, but for now we'll just connect Xano plugins and we will start building our login pages. Okay, so here's the section. We are going to drag and drop a container. All right, where is this container? Okay, so let me just make sure this section has everything. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna remove this section and just start from scratch. Okay, section, container. Okay, now this container here, you can see it's not occupying the entire screen. We gotta figure that out first. So container, if I switch to container, here you can see let's look for width. By the way, Weweb, if you're listening to this, please add a search thing here so we can quickly search for things. Width is set to 100%. That is good, but max width means what is the maximum width this thing can take on a section or a parent section. So you would set it to auto. That means it will stretch out. Okay, now I like the kind of logins where there is a small box with login information here, and then there is a logo and people can log in with their username and password. So we're going to build something like that. So I'm going to set a max width, I'm going to reset, and I'm going to set a max width of 400. I guess 400 is just fine. And I think that minimum width also should be 400. Okay, so now that we set it, you can see it's 400 pixel, but it's at the top left corner. We don't want that, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to switch to section, and here there is alignment options. So if I switch this alignment to middle, here you can see it switched to middle. Okay, now we need to bring it to the center of the page, and for that, just by adjusting this isn't enough. We need to make sure this section takes up the entire page, and then we will center this container. So for section, we will select section, and there is a height element here. We are going to change the height to fixed, and the best approach is set this to 100 view height. View height means what can the browser view in that one frame without scrolling. So that's view height. So right now view height is set to 100, which means it's like a percentage. 100 means it will take all the area of 100. So if I set it to 50, here you can see it comes right around the middle of that section. I'm gonna switch back to 100. Okay, now since height is set, let's go to justify. So just like alignment, justify will define how the contents are aligned horizontally or vertically. I don't really know what the term is, or I mess things up. Okay, so you see this, when I switch to this, it is coming to the middle. Okay, now we are going to add or change stuff inside this container. So now that I look at it, I think we need this to be like 500 is to be, sure. Max width, minimum width. Okay, that looks good. Now I want to add our logo in here. So I'm gonna add an image. I'm gonna drop that in. Okay, now I can set an image by clicking on this, and I can upload my logo, and I can select I think I gotta download it from Canva. So let's just download this. Instagram. By the way, if you find any resemblance with any social media channels, then that is coincidental. Okay, Instagram IO, save. Just save that. Now I'm gonna upload from desktop. Instagram. There you go. Upload. A good practice when it comes to setting logo. Oh shit. I gotta download this as transparent. Download transparent, because we don't want the background. Okay, yes. I want to delete this, don't need this. Upload Instagram, upload all. Okay, now here you can see our logo is showing up. But instead of this, what I normally do is I will copy this link, and instead of using this, I will set this as a variable. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to call it logo URL dark, because this is going to be used in dark themes. Create folder brand asset. I'm gonna call it, put it under a folder, and the value will be the link. Okay, preserve on navigation, yeah. Save in local storage, no. Okay, now instead of directly linking to this image, what we're going to do is we will connect it to that variable, so that whenever we want to change our logo, for example, if we got a better designer and we wanted to change our logo at some point, we just have to update this variable. We don't have to go behind every single page and update our logo. All right, so that's why I normally use this method. Okay, now set a width. I normally set up a max width for this because I don't want the logo to just scale and blow out of proportion. So our container is about 500. What we're going to do is we'll set up a max width of 250. All right, 250, maybe too small. 300 looks kind of okay. Now we are going to align this to the sender. We'll just do that. Okay, so we just added this. Now we are going to add a box below this where people can log in. So we are going to add another container inside container. So you can keep adding containers inside containers. All right, so Instagram. So what I plan to do is, let me show my drawing skills now. So what I plan to do here is I will have our Instagram logo, and below that we will have a box with username, password, and a button to log in. All right, I am a very bad designer, so forgive me for this atrocity. But we will try to make things work. Okay, so container, we will have to set a width for this as well, but for now we will just assume it's going to take the full size of the container, the parent container, that is this container. So we will just select this, and I have a habit of naming containers to easily identify what these are. So I'm gonna call it logo login box. Okay, and this would be logo. Okay, login box, and here I think this should be a different color from the background, not too different but kind of different. And by the way, let's just remove this max width. It's not really needed. I'm gonna reset. Okay, we are going to change the color of this to match the background. So let's go ahead and do that. Oops, that would be under background. Yeah, this is why I said if Weweb can put in a search here, that would be great. So okay, so background color, there we go. Primary. No. Yeah, you can also click on this color to make variations. I normally use this thing called color picker to pick right colors, paste in, and now I'm gonna make it a bit more darker. Actually, you know what? Let me look at the home page, because there's a color scheme that's followed by this home page. Let me just capture that color. Yeah, this is 2121. I think I should add it to a color palette. Let me show you that as well. So if I click on this background color, I'm gonna create a color, gray 2. Okay, and Instagram. So this is us basically creating a color palette so we can reuse the color every time without having to look at other pages. So we just created that color, right? And we can also save the main color to that palette if you want. So if you just copy this and select any color here, just click on create. Gray 1, it would be Instagram's color, and it would be 1818. So the advantage of having this is, say I want to design this login box to be a certain color. I just select that and I will just change this from I can select the preset colors. So I will go for gray 2 for this. Okay, now we need to add some elements in here to make this container to be visible even. Okay, so let's add an element form container. This is what we use for stuff like logins and everything, right? So just added that. This looks kind of ugly, right? Short answer, submit, and whatever. So what we are going to do is we are going to add something called padding. All right, inside login box, click on login box on the right hand side. Here you can see padding, and padding basically means space inside your container. All right, margin means space outside. So if I add margin, you can see it's creating space outside the blue box, right? Look at this. If I add padding, it's creating space inside. So we're going to add a padding of 20. So it looks a bit like it's inside. And maybe we can add more padding from left and right. So to do that, just select this. And if you set padding at all levels, this is what you select. If you want to set padding, different padding for different sites, then switch to this. All right, 20, we'll keep it to 40. All right. Okay, so now this is how it looks like. Still ugly, I know. We will make that better. I guess we need to add more padding from top and bottom as well. So we will add a bit more. Okay, so Instagram short answer submit doesn't really make sense. We are going to change few more things to in our login box, because I like the login box to have a rounded edge than sharp edge. So I'm going to click on the login box, and if I scroll down, I should be seeing under borders and shadows, there is something called radius. If I set radius to 15, here you can see all of a sudden it, instead of looking like an ugly box, it now looks like a better box. Okay, that's what I would say. Okay, now we need to do the same for this. I am going to select the input field, and instead of short answer, I am going to call it email. All right, and now I am going to style it. So let's style it a bit. There should be a color, background color. Let's try using one of our grays, and there should be a placeholder color. We'll just keep it to white. Okay, short answer, and when I type things, it's still black. So we will change the text color to white as well. I think I gotta add white to my, yeah, white. I'm gonna add to that. Select. Okay, there you go. Wait, I don't really like the border. I think it should be better. Let's look for border. Where is border? Background. Yeah, there you go. Borders and shadows. I like this to be a bit more darker, somewhere around here. Actually, I think I know where that color, what's the best color, because in the home page, he is using a color like this. We will use that color, or we'll try to use that color. Okay, I'm gonna use a color picker to pick that. Okay, and let's go to our login page and try to set the border to that color. See if it fits. Border, and there we go. Okay, not really. I still think it has to be darker. Okay, let's look at that. Oh, okay, that looks good. Now I'm gonna add this to uh, our our Instagram folder, because I will reuse this again. Okay, so the color would be border form borders. Be Instagram. This is the color I'm gonna create. Okay, now I think this also would look better if I make the edges round. So we are going to do that by going to borders again, and we are going to make the radius to 15. That's too much. 5, 10. No, 5. I think 5 is enough. Okay, so 5 is enough. I want to make the height of this a bit more bigger. I want to make this 50. Let's look at that. All right. I want to change the placeholder. So what you see under short answer, we're going to change that to email. All right. The input type is email, and placeholder value should be email. All right. Email. That's how it looks like. Now, I think the text inside is too white. So we are going to down a little. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay. I will also add this to our folder. Light placeholder text. This is what we will use for placeholder text inside forms. Okay, so email is added. Now let's try to type in. Okay, looks good. Now we are going to duplicate this because we need email and password. So we are going to name this element, change the name of this element to password. Input type, we are going to change this to password. All right, and we will add a bit of margin at the top so that there is a separation between these two. So margin would be 15, right? So here you can see, nope, okay, email, password, submit button. Submit button looks ugly, I know, we will fix that, but this would be email, this would be password. Now whatever I type in here would be in these black letters. The reason for that is we have set the input type to password. Okay, now we need to change the placeholder. We will call it password. All right, email password. That looks good. Yeah, okay. So we are going to also look into some additional things which we need to add for email and password. So if I select email, read only, that should be turned off. Required should be turned on because we don't want people submitting without email or password. So we will turn both of that on. You will understand why we set these required things to true when we start building the logic to login. But let me show you why. So if I enter any email now, try to submit, it will say, okay, okay. Now if I try to submit, it's going to ask, please fill out this field. If we do not set it to required, then it's going to start the logic. We have not built the logic yet, but having that required thing turned on will greatly help. Okay, now we are going to work on the button. So we are going to first of all change the text from submit to login. Okay, and we are going to make this go to the sender. So we'll click on the button and we will switch to, where is it, align self. Okay, so align self, we've set that to sender. Width, we can either do a percentage and we can set it to 100, so it will match the same as above. Let's try a 90 percentage width. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Not the best UI designer, as you probably already know, but I'm just walking you through the functionalities. Now we need to set the login text to the sender. We're going to do that by just switching like the text alignment to sender. And this login button color, you can set that here. All right, so login button color, you can set that to any color you want. I think I am going to stick with something close to our gradient. So you can either choose a color or select a gradient. All right, so I'm gonna select a gradient which will look like this, very ugly. So for now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna select a color that I have. Right, primary violet, I'm gonna stick with that. Ideally, I have a friend, his name is Shamim. He is a good graphic designer, so I will make him change the colors later for my app, but for now this will work. I'm all about massive imperfect action, not about creating that perfect button color. I want to make progress. Even if I make mistakes, even if something looks ugly, it's still fine. So that's what's keep me moving. Okay, so we have basically designed our login page for desktop. Now if we switch our view to mobile, looks like this. We don't want this. So we need to change few things in here. So the first thing we need to do is switch to our mobile. And now if you switch to our edit mode, the biggest problem is this thing is taking too much width, right? And that is because we have set a minimum width in there. So if we go to our container minimum width, if we set this to, if we change this minimum width here, it will only change for mobile. It's not going to change for desktop. So I'm just gonna first of all get rid of it and get rid of this as well. There is no minimum width required, and the width I'm going to ask this thing to take would be 95%, which means 95% of the screen. So there will be a small black area before this form starts. All right, and the logo might be too big for mobile, so we are going to tone it down or make it smaller, make it like 200 or 250. All right. So Instagram login. Now if we click on login, it's going to ask for password, obviously. Now click on login, it's going to login. So this is how our desktop and mobile versions look like. All right. Very, very simple. You can also add like reset password, text and all that later. It basically very simple. So you just drag and drop a text like down below, and you can type in forgot password and make it centered. We will add a bit of margin. We will add like 10 margin, and the text color would be the color we will use inside our forms, right? Forgot password. All right. Okay. I also like to change or use a certain font inside our inside this. So here you can see font family. If I switch to manage fonts, I can select multiple fonts. I can also add fonts from Google Fonts, right? So I'm gonna select Poppins. This is my favorite font. I'm gonna select that and select Poppins. Save. Now if I click on this drop down, I can see Poppins is available. I can also plug in this as a variable so that if I decide to change my font, it instantly changes it everywhere. So I'm gonna go to brand assets. I'm gonna go for main font, and the default value will be Poppins. Preserve on navigation. I will change that and I will set it inside brand assets. So instead of lowering the font all the time, I will set this to main font, and looks like this can have a little bit of letter spacing. Oops, 2 pixels required. Okay, so we will use that variable everywhere for font, right? So font family, we will change this to our main font, that is Poppins. Here doesn't really matter. Here the font will be, where is it? Font family. There you go. Main font. All right. And size would be for this, it would be better if we keep it smaller. Okay. Forgot password. All right. So we are not going to work on the logic on this for now. We'll just work on these things. Login. So there's our logo, there's our email, password, and click on login. Now it's time to actually connect this to our backend, see if we can log in. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to click on this button. Actually, since this is a form container, what we're going to do is we'll just call it login form. We need to select this login form and then go to our workflows and add a new workflow. So this workflow, I always name my workflows so it's easier to debug. So I'm going to call it login workflow. All right. On submit, what should we do? We should try to log in to Xano. So I'm going to click on login and body fields, email. If you click on it here, we can map things that are available in our page. So here from components in current page, there is a section, and inside section there is an email field, right? So we can map it to email. Password, if you click on the socket, we can map it to the password field. All right, so what happens now is when we try to log in, if you look at the left side, we are getting an error because this is not the right username and password, right? But if I use at public of nocode.com. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now if we run it, you see it worked, and we are getting something called an access token from Xano. So Weweb automatically takes care of it. It's a variable that is internal to Weweb. Access token is received when the username and password is correct. If this is not correct, instead of access token, it will trigger an error, right? So how can we handle these things in our workflow? So if we click on this form container, login workflow, we can run this as a test here, right? So I'm gonna test this here. You can see it's an error because the password is wrong. So in case of error, what should we do? In case of a successful login, what should we do? So on error, what I normally do is I just alert. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a custom JavaScript, and I'm going to type in alert wrong username and password. Please try again. Please try again. All right, and I also want to reset the values of, oh, actually I don't care. I'll just show that error if username and password is not correct. Looks like I ran into an error. Let's see what that is. On error, I made a spelling mistake. Alert wrong username and password. So this means Weweb is going to show something like this: wrong username, password, please try again. Okay, so let's try. Okay, wrong username, password. But if I type in my real password, login. Oh, actually I need to nothing happens because I am successfully logged in, and Weweb is taking care of the access token and is authenticated to true. Okay, now we need to build that in logic. We need to take people from our login page to our dashboard if they are authenticated. So we will again select this, select login workflow, and we will do a true or false, and we will check if this is authenticated is true. Okay, so we are going to add a true or false, and instead of just saying true or false by default, we will click on this, and then we will look for is authenticated. That will be under the this user, and if that is true, then you will navigate or go to the dashboard. All right, so check if is indicated equal to true. This is more for us as a reference, and then if it's true, we are going to go and we'll basically navigate to our dashboard. All right, go to dashboard. That means the user is logging into our dashboard. So select that and go to home, navigate to dashboard, and if it's false, then don't really need to do anything. All right, and yeah, I guess that is it. Now if I click on login, it takes me to the dashboard. All right, now let's quickly add a sign out button here, so we can also log out, sign out, sign out. Okay, and when people click on this, I want to run a workflow. Wait, is there a link? I don't want links, so I'm gonna add a workflow, sign out workflow, and all you do is just, in Xano there is a log out feature. You just do that and you can navigate to your login page. Okay, very simple. So if people click on sign out, it just takes me to, that is weird. Let's see what's going wrong. Icon, sign out workflow, navigate to, that works. However, something else is taking me to a new page. No links. No links. No links. No links. Let's try this again. If I click on sign out, for some reason it does take me to the logout, but I am concerned as to why it's taking me to open a new page. So let's just log in again, maybe at nocode.com. And these kind of things happens, guys. It happens all the time. You gotta learn how to fix them. Okay, no link. Sign out workflow. I'm going to get rid of this workflow now. Or is there a disable option? No. Okay, we'll just delete this workflow for now. Yeah, I think I figured it out. Okay, now we're going to change the hover state. See if there's a workflow in there. Oh no, I didn't figure it out yet. Let's see, why is this showing? Let me try adding a container inside here, and I'm just gonna add or I'm gonna just drag and drop this in here, see if that container has a problem. It does. So that means the problem is not at the container level, it's either at the item level or the settings level. So let's click on item. There you go. I don't know why anybody would do this. Do not do this. Okay, we figured it out. Okay, now sign out. If somebody clicks on it, we need to I just pasted that workflow I deleted. Okay, now if I click on sign out, it's signing me out, and I'm gonna log in. Let me quickly create this account. Okay, I'm logging in. I'm gonna save it so I don't have to type it every time. Okay, now I'm gonna sign out, and there you go. Our login page is created. I know it took a lot of time, but if I were to do it without talking on the microphone and explaining things, I would have done this in 10-15 minutes maximum. But I'm gonna give this video out unedited because I need you guys to see the actual the ground reality. It's not like you just go in and everything just happens just like that. These kind of things happens, and as we build more features, it will be a lot more. There will be a lot more silences, head scratches, and all that. Okay, so we just build our login, and after our login, it's time to start building our backend APIs and services to build more things. All right, so that is it for this video. This is Abby from Republic of No Code. Speak to you in the next one.